Hello, friends, and welcome in. This is The Lord and the Rings, where I do my best to connect two of the best things ever, Jesus of Nazareth, who's number one, and Tolkien's Legendarium, which amounts for two. I'm Justin. Today we are sadly going to look at Bilbo's worst moment, as I want to argue. Okay, so quick scene, let's set the table. Gandalf and him are conversing, is directly after his little party joke where he disappears, leaving his fellow hobbits confused. They're irritated. And so these two are back in Bilbo's hobbit hole. The conversation has moved to Bilbo's little magic ring. And let's just say that things start to get a bit dicey. Let's read the text together. It is mine, I tell you, my own, my precious, yes, my precious. The wizard's face remained grave and attentive, and only a flicker in his deep eyes showed that he was startled and indeed alarmed. It has been called that before, he said, but not by you. But I say it now, and why not? Even if Gollum said the same once. It's not his now, but mine, and I shall keep it, I say. And by the way, if there's ever a typo, that's me. It's not Tolkien. Relax. Gandalf stood up. He spoke sternly. You will be a fool if you do, Bilbo, he said. You make that clear with every word you say. It has got far too much hold on you. Let it go, and then you can go yourself and be free. I'll do as I choose and go as I please, said Bilbo obstinately. Now, my dear hobbit, said Gandalf. All your long life we have been friends, and you owe me something. Come, do as you promised. Give it up. Well, if you want my ring yourself, say so, cried Bilbo. But you won't get it. I won't give my precious away, I tell you. His hand strayed to the hilt of his small sword. Okay, so that is a clause that we sometimes forget. What I want to do is I have a single thought as we press into kind of the spiritual layer of this scene. That last clause especially, right? Bilbo just moved to draw his sword on Gandalf. This is a picture, I think the best picture we have of the irrationality of sin. Sin is fundamentally stupid. The more you think it through, it is rash, it is folly, it is plain dumb. Just the more you think about it. It is as dumb as a hobbit trying to draw a sword on a wizard, on an Istari. That's what sin is. Any sin, not just the big ones, any of them. Okay, just picture this from Bilbo's perspective, okay? I think it's kind of interesting to do. So you have, and then I want to make it personal with us. Bilbo is so obsessed, so consumed by this ring. Like, he's going to, leave this ring behind? No way. Well, what's the one thing that's telling him, that's forcing him, this barrier between him and the ring? It's Gandalf. And so what does his anger, what does his frustration do? It just attacks and latches onto Gandalf. The only thing in his way from keeping this ring is Gandalf. And so out of instinct, fueled by this emotion, this overwhelm, we've all felt it, he moves to draw his sword out and get this, and do what? What's his next move? What is Bilbo's next move? I hope you feel it. Do you see that gap, that cliff face? What are you going to do, Bilbo? He moves to draw his sword. Let's say he draws his sword. Then what? Do you feel the irrationality? That is a moment of folly. And this is exactly what sin is every single time as you think it through. But we rarely do. We often just jump off the cliff. But then what? And then what? And then what? You take the sin and you run with it a few steps and you fall off a cliff face because it is irrational. Every single sin in your life and mine is dumb. Just like this, trying to pull a sword on Gandalf. Think of the woman who lies. Like, for what? Well, we've all done it. We've all lied. When we lie, it's because we don't feel safe. But what does that lead to as you take a few more steps along the sin path? ultimately, it leads to an unsafe world. It's ironic because nobody trusts you anymore. You really are alone. Every single one of your relationships have withered. Think of the man who cheats on his wife, right? The thrill of the forbidden woman is there. Then what? Let's take 3 more steps. The affections, the pleasure, it's all there, but then what? He falls in love with her. He wants to marry her. The whole thing has just started over again because it wasn't about her in the first place, but the irrationality of sin and not thinking through where pleasure and forbiddenness leads to. Quick checkpoint. Before we dive one more step deeper, we are starting this week reading I don't know if we're starting this week or next week. I got to get my stuff figured out. But we're reading The Lord of the Rings together, and we're starting with the Fellowship. No, I am no Tolkien scholar, but we're going to learn together. And so each week, I want to give a quick summary of the chapter. I want to interact vigorously with the comments, and I just want to give 10 highlights from each chapter, take questions, and just march through together. Maybe it's been a while since you've read through The Lord of the Rings, or maybe you've never done it, or you've never done it as a community. The very first video, I think, drops this week. Subscribe, hit the little notification bell, be ready for it. And let's just move along through the Legendarium together, starting with the Fellowship of the Ring. Okay, but commercial break over. Back to sin, back to addiction. Have you ever been addicted to anything? Because I think sin and addiction, and especially Bilbo with his ring, kind of run hand in hand. I remember I've been addicted to worse things than World of Warcraft in my life. But I remember in high school, it was like my first big addiction. World of Warcraft came out, and if you know, you know, for the Horde. It's the closest I can get to Bilbo's obsession with the ring in terms of like that first time. And I remember my girlfriend at the time, now wife, spoiler alert, finally giving me the ultimatum that I deserved, me or the game. And I wanted to draw my sword on her. I mean, I didn't really want to harm her physically, but I wanted her gone because she was the one thing in between me and my ring, my obsession. She stood in the way. And good news, y'all, I chose her. She's kind of the best. We have 3 sons. Let's go. But here's the irony. And here's where we want to bring it home with sin. I thought she was in the way of my flourishing, of my freedom. Bilbo thought that Gandalf was in the way. I mean, who knows what you think is in the way of whatever it is that you're pursuing right now in an unhealthy way. When in reality, it's actually the precious thing that's in the way of freedom. That precious, whatever it is to you that is consuming you, obsessing you, that is actually what's keeping you from being free. And so look back at Gandalf's words. It's easy to miss this one line. He says to Bilbo, let it go, and then you can go yourself and be free. I know that sin is a tiny little word in our Bible. It carries a lot of weight. The Bible gives us all sorts of descriptions, missing the mark, crossing a line. It's our inheritance. It's our condition. It's a disease. It's a parasite. It's rebellion. It's what makes us hostile to God. It's the consequence of which is death. But then comes the Savior of sin, Jesus. And he says, 2 sinners come to me. 2 sinners. He doesn't say, get your stuff together and then earn me. Come to me as you are. Why? How is Jesus able to say that? We read in Mark 2:17. And then when Jesus heard it, he said to them, those who are well, they have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners. Now, I don't know where you are with Jesus right now, but you need to know this. He did not come for those who find themselves quite clean. Thank you very much. He came for the dirty. He came for the addicted. He came for those who cannot help but have a precious, and it's killing us. He didn't come for anyone else except for the morons, the sinners. He came for me. He came for you if you're honest enough to admit it. And when he died on the cross, get this, what happened at a cosmic level is, we read in Colossians 2:13 and 14, and you who were dead in your trespasses and the uncircumcision of your flesh, God made alive together with him, having forgiven us all our trespasses by, get this, canceling the record of debt that stood against us with its legal demands. This he set aside, nailing it to the cross. So, as you think through your sin today, I would just encourage you, do what Bilbo didn't do. Take it 3 steps further than where you're at right now. Like, follow the consequences. Hop into your test drive, that is sin. Take a test drive in that car and see where it leads. Look for the irrationality of it. And then, just for kicks, turn to Jesus. Throw your sin at his feet and feel the freedom, and then walk in that freedom. War with that sin, in love with the Savior. I think it's amazing that Bilbo's first act, you can go look at it yourself, when free of the ring, do you know what he does? His first act? It's to sing. He starts singing, and that's where we get one of his famous songs about the road. We need more song today. But that means we need more freedom today. That means we need sin dealt with today. And there's only one way sin can be dealt with, and that's with Jesus. This starts with me and you. Watch one of these videos, subscribe, comment, let's talk. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. And read along. Check out the playlist now. I'm so sorry I don't know my schedule better. I'll get better. Bye.